Hello everyone, this is Maria from Business Analysis Easy to Use. Today we discuss what a requirement is, what a business requirement, how to document business requirement, how to adapt existing business requirement, where to document business requirement and what standards are used. Requirements are a specification of what is to be implemented. They describe system behavior, system properties, or system attributes. They can serve as constraint in the system development process. The requirement covers the user vision, the external behavior of the system, and the developer's view of the internal characteristics of the system, service, or product. The slide provides a list of the main ISO related to the system and software engineering lifecycle processes. Approaches describing requirements such as Six Sigma and Babok. Requirement in a business analysis. All requirement in a business analysis answer three questions. What needs to be determined? This is business need. Why does it need to be defined? This is benefit. How to document that needs to be determined. This is form of the document provision. Example requirement. Need. People use the phone every day. Requirement. The battery charge of the phone must not be zero. Solution. Have a constant access to power supply. Buy a phone charger. Buy a power bank. Comply with the condition of the storage of the chargers. Because of the many different types of the requirement information, they need a common set of the description that this is the very requirement can identify. Here are the main types of the requirement: business requirement, business rule, constraint, external interface requirement, feature, functional requirement, non-functional requirement, quality attribute, system requirement, user requirement. You also need to consider the business need. What does the business need? And the context, which is the people, information system, data, technology, processes, and anything else that affects the business need in one or another way. A look at the scheme of the interrelation of information types of the requirement. Today we will only talk about the business level. Our input is the business need. The business wants to create or change a service, a system, or a product. At this stage, we should analyze the input documentation from the business stakeholder, taking into account the business rules and the surrounding context. The output of this stage is our BRD or a similar document. The relationship of the several types of information for requirement. Solid lines mean contained in, and dashed line means in the starting point or effect. In the following videos, we will come back to the next levels of this scheme. A business requirement is information that collectively describes a need that initiates one or more product design to provide a solution and produce the desired and business result. Business requirements are based on the business opportunities, business goals, success criteria, and the vision statement. We'll discuss this in more detail in the following lectures. Type of the requirements in Babok business analysis. Business requirements are the statement of the business goals, objectives, and the desired outcome generated by a series of initiatives. Stakeholder requirement work as a bridge between business requirement and solution requirement and describe the needs of the stakeholder that must be satisfied in order to achieve the business requirement. Solution requirement describe the capabilities and qualities of the solution that meets the stakeholder requirement. They also describe the implementation of the solution in detail. Solution requirement can be divided into functional and non-functional requirement. Transition requirement depict the capabilities that a solution must have to facilitate the transition process in a future state of the desired outcome. They mainly address topics such as the infrastructure transition, data conversion and migration, user access and acceptance, stakeholder preparation and transition, change to policies and business rules, training and business continuity. Why find out and document business requirements? Defining the meaning of the project and justifying its necessity. Subject of agreement, definition of acceptance and evaluation criteria. Scope definition, prioritization basis for design decision and modification. What makes requirement good? The main characteristics of software requirement quality, including business requirement. Atomicity is a requirement that cannot be broken down into more detailed requirement. Completeness, all necessary requirements are written down. Uniqueness, each requirement should have its own unique identifier. Consonance, no unnecessary information in the writing. Consistency, requirements that do not conflict with the other project requirements. Feasibility, the requirement must be technically realizable within the established time frame. Prioritization, the ability to determine relative importance and value using prioritization technique. Testability, the ability to verify fulfillment in specific quantitative terms. Unambiguous, the ability to verify that the solution fulfills the original need. Understandability, the requirement must be clearly articulated. Look at the example business need and the business requirement. Our scenario: online shop loses customers due to lack of the cash and/or a card payment option to courier. Our business need: issue: the loss of 35 of repeat customers, and as a consequence, we lose the money. What we should do: to create the business requirement. Verify that each repeat customer has an online shop account. The customer must be authorized in the system. When placing an order, the customer must have option available. We had two options: delivery to the specific address with payment in cash on collection, and delivery to the specified address with the payment by bank card upon receipt. Typical mistakes then described in business requirement: incorrectness, impossibility of verification, magic numbers, unclear usefulness, overload detail, impracticability, inconsistency, irrelevance. How a business requirement documented? Monolith: all requirements are described together in a structured narrative text. Reference to requirement element: objectives, metrics, assumption, risk. Fractional: each requirement is described separately. Each requirement is assigned a unique identifier. Traceability to a specific business requirement is possible. Look at the business requirement monolith description. This is a template of a Carl Wiggers. This template consists of the context, opportunity description, business objectives, success metrics, outcome image vision, business risk, and the business assumption and dependencies. Business requirement fractional description template. Below is my business requirement fractional description template. It consists of the several key elements: unique identifier, ID requirement, requirement description, a brief description of what the requirement will include, the next step of the requirement, detailed description, a detailed description of what the requirement does, transfer method, it will be email, database, USB, payment gateway, and so on, the implementer of the requirement, and related document. Look at the real example. We had the requirement: move to active stock. Our requirement description: materials are sent to the active stock on the basis of the customer confirmation. We had the next ID requirement. This is beer 4. And our detailed description: the operator changed the status of the material in the system based on the customer confirmation and sent the material from the quarantine zone to the active stock. Our transfer method is a database SAP, and our executor role is operator, and we had no any related document in this requirement. When and which template to use? Monolith: if a compact product with a narrow objectives, narrow subject area, business requirement fit on a few pages. And the fractional template: many business requirement, complex business requirement can be implemented separately, and we had a high degree of uncertainty. What to do with a missing or a bad business requirement? Re-engineering: identify missing requirement, document requirement, and comment should be added to existing requirement. Rules to be followed to avoid the formation of the substandard claims. All requirements must be documented. Do not rely on in-memory. All requirements should have their own unique identifier. Avoid chaos. You need to focus on what is the most important. The requirement should not look like an essay. Avoid loopholes, such as "if necessary," is to make the requirement useless. Do not put more than one requirement in one paragraph. Avoid vague words, such as usually, mostly, often, normally, typically. Avoid using vague terms, such as user-friendly, universal, or flexible. Avoid wishful thinking. Enjoyable for all users, secure, suitable for all platforms, should never break, handle all unexpected failures, and so on. And so, we have discussed the basic concepts, features, and examples related to the business requirement. Thank you for your watching, and see you soon.